when you have those moments where the body's like, eat chocolate cake or eat something, how do we distinguish between what's intuitive in the moment and what's just my mind telling me, hey, I need a state changer?
That's a big part of the conversation of the book, because it's really nice for us to say, I am an intuitive eater, or like even saying when I call the book Intuitive Fasting, it was paradoxical on purpose, because if someone's in the throes of stress, right? If they're stressed out, if they have a lot going on in their life, or physiologically, if they have blood sugar imbalances and, hormone imbalances or hangriness or insatiable cravings, if they're stuck in that sugar burning mode, all of that stuff will disguise themselves as your intuition. So I want people to grow in the mindfulness side of things and grow in the metabolic flexibility side of things, to have that awareness on what worked for them and what doesn't work for them. So that goes back to that art and practice of really learning about your body and evolving. And at the beginning, I want people to follow the protocol in the book to learn that art of yourself and learn that rhythm of your body and what's serving you and what's not. That art of learning about yourself won't happen overnight. So I want people to cycle through that protocol as many times as they needed to start to improve their health on a physical level, i.e. flexibility, metabolic flexibility, which is that foundation for intuitive mindful eating, but also growing in that mindfulness awareness. So every day is going to be slightly different. So there are days, like you said, where, if you lean into that deeper fast in the morning, you're going to feel fantastic, but you have the awareness to know that. You have that awareness to say, look, that initial hangriness or that initial craving isn't really going to serve me. And you have the agency over your health, not in an obsessive, restrictive way, but in a real, what I call in the book, food peace. You have this governing peace that allows you to make that rational, logical, aware decision for your body. Many people aren't at that point, but many people are just sort of completely enslaved by their cravings and enslaved with their hangriness, and they confuse that stuff for themselves. And then even today, with the movement that's happening on social media with the intuitive eating community, they'll call that their intuition. I mean, hangriness is not your intuition. And blood sugar volatility is not your intuition. You can make it sound nice. You can put a nice filter on it on Instagram, but when you look at labs and look at somebody's quality of life, it's really not anything intuitive, because your intuition is never going to lead you towards a unhealthy body. It's just never going to do that. So your intuition is going to want to preserve you and make you feel healthier and vibrant and make you live the most vibrant life you can live. So that's really that conversation that I'm having in the book, is I wanted to have an authentic conversation about this idea of intuition and food and fasting. But to have that, we need to talk about the health stuff. And I think that it's good for people to use that protocol at the beginning to start to learn about themselves. But then later on, they can evolve that, and the protocol will look different intuitively, as we are all different. We all are different.
Right. How long do you think it takes if you're somebody who has been, I'll use myself as an example. My mom was the classic, you had a rough day, you're not feeling good, let's sit down and have a meal. And so I learned over the years that if you're not feeling good, eat. So when I came to fasting, that was really hard to undo. Yeah. Because what did I do when I wasn't feeling good? Now, when I first learned fasting, I could have said, hey, it's really intuitive right now. I'm not feeling very well. I'm going to need to break my fast. How long do you feel like it takes to get the rhythm? I know what it took me. And are there tools to help us bridge that place from where we used food to soothe our souls to really tapping into the intuitive part of us?
Depends on our starting point. I know as a clinician, I'm meeting people at so many different points of their health journey. Some people have been at this for a while and then are doing some good things that are improving their awareness, the body awareness, and their metabolic flexibility. Some people are not at all. So depends on your starting point, but that's part of the reason why I put the quiz in the book, so they can retake that quiz to kind of check in with their improvements. And maybe after every cycle of the 4-week protocol, take it again and you'll see your score come down. And that's a sign that metabolic flexibility is rising. Your health is rising. So I would say the average person, after 1 month, I want to see considerable changes, moving in the right direction. After 2 to 3 months of cycling through, I think you should be solidly more aware of your body. That's typically the sweet spot. Not that everyone's going to be 100% in that time, because we know this is a journey for life, but you'll continue to at least evolve to the place of evolving the protocol for yourself, because you're going to be able to experiment. Each week is a different type of fast with a different type of like goal that we're trying to achieve or support. So after 2 or 3 cycles
goes on it.
Yeah, I really find that most people will say, oh, I felt really good doing this. I'm going to do more of that. I'm going to do less of that. It didn't work for me right now. So they'll evolve that protocol for themselves. It won't be a protocol. It'll just be their life. And then what's important for people to realize is what serves you today isn't necessarily what will serve you forever and ever. So it's okay to pivot and evolve even as you lean into these practices. That's the art of it all, is that you'll be able to say, well, maybe this certain fast, this OMAD worked great for a season, but that season has passed. I need to do something else. So I want people to be okay with adjusting things and being flexible with themselves, because these are all amazing, beautiful therapeutic tools that will be dynamic as your health is dynamic and your situations externally change too.
Do you think there's one fast that the human body benefits from the most?
No, I think that what I love about the protocol in the book, and a conversation that I am having in part, is variability. I think variability is a very powerful tool to keep people from being stagnant in that metabolic flexibility. Because I find that these deeper fasts can be great therapeutic tools for some people, but then they do it for months and months and months and months and never deviate. And then they think, wow, this isn't working for me like it used to work for them. So sometimes it's counterintuitive, especially for the fasting aficionado, is to loosen up and allow more of a refeeding time, and shakes things up with leptin and shakes things up with the hormone system. So sometimes it's the expanding and contracting, the vacillating eating and fasting windows that keep things flexible, just like that yoga class. Is there's a time and place for holding that warrior two, but there's also a time and place for that shavasana and laying your butt down and chilling out. So I want people to have that grace and lightness to this, as they don't have to think more is better. And it's constantly doing these deeper fasts, because I think the variability is really the spice of metabolic flexibility.